some of the earliest beliefs, electricity, was that it was primarily a biological phenomenon. There were just endless theories about what it is, and they all reminded me of all the theories we have about what intelligence is, because we don't really know what it is. And I have been saying, I suspect that intelligence is not an element, but a compound. It is made up of a complex of different cognitive elements, and that we haven't even identified yet, in the same way that salt's not a element. Salt is actually a compound of some elements that they had not yet identified. So you can think of the current AI is we're making some kind of salt and we don't even know what it's made from. So I think we can recognize it, but I actually don't think we know what it is. And in fact, I think our brains are incredibly opaque to introspection, deliberately. I think we have these complex things that deliberately does not allow the organism to interfere and meddle with it. Could you imagine if we had access to the source code? And what the it is, again, I think we humans have a very peculiar complex of things that if we map it out in the possibility space of all possible minds, which is a very high dimensional space, that we're going to be, our compounds way at the edge. We're an edge species. We're not at the center of anything, the galaxy or the solar system or evolution. We are an edge. Our kind of intelligence will be revealed to be a very peculiar mixture that's evolved for us. And then what we're going to be doing with AIs is making hundreds of various other kinds and filling out that possibility space with many types of thinking. And so we'll look back and we won't even recognize maybe some of these other things as intelligence right now, because we don't have a very good definition. It's like, what are the definitions or what are the marks for something that doesn't like a human-like intelligence? Some people say, well, there isn't anything. There's only universal intelligence, and that we're just going to make more of it. That there's only one thing, and that's possible, but I suspect that's wrong. I suspect that there is many compounds and that they will be engineered to do different things. And to some degree, we won't understand even how they work, but that's because they're different. And so I think we are very much like the early days of electricity, where we simply didn't have a clue about what it was, even though we could use it, even though we could recognize it. Marvin Minsky was the first who suggested it, called the Society of Mind. And then these days, the AIs have mixture of experts. I think we'll have various layers of this, like tissues, where you have cells and or molecules made from elements. And so we're going to make some very high chain, heavy compounds of intelligence at some level, made up from lots of little bits of elemental cognition. What we haven't done yet is done the chemistry of identifying what some of the basic cognitive units are. I mean, Danny Hillis made a computer with Tinker Toys. So you can make computers out of all kinds of elements, logic gates and stuff like that. So I don't want to confuse sort of like your neural nets. I don't think that is the basic unit. I think there is a type of reasoning or learning or something that happens with the neural nets that we haven't quite identified yet. That I would say that would be the element is what is that process of pattern matching, or if that is what it is, or deduction, or what's the logic, or what's the workflow for doing deduction. And it could be, could be agnostic to the actual platform.